Hey guys, Chief Track Analyst Milky Cereal here. Sadly, I don't have the lab specs out, so maybe today's track guide won't be as good as the previous, but either way, we are jumping on into the final race of Formula X Racing Season 3, and we are heading to Spa Francorchamps in Belgium for, as I mentioned, the last race of the season, round 12. And who better to take us for a lap here at, well, what is one of the most famous circuits on the calendar than our race winner from round 11 in Austria, Luca Uiterwijk. And yeah, without further ado, let's jump right on in. So as we roll up the clip on the exit of the final corner, we're pulling the car all the way over to the left as we get ready to spot our braking into turn 1. And for turn 1, you want to be braking just around here, around about the 100-meter board, maybe a little bit after, depending on where you want to brake. There's a couple of different lines you can take through turn 1, and we'll go over those in more detail once we reach the apex. But down the gears and into a second, and as we get right up to the apex, just going to play a bit forward, you can see we're pretty much kissing it. And regarding the different lines you can either look to take a late apex, you could look to diagonally brake into the corner so that you can brake a little bit later. Always remember though as well, guys, your braking going into turn 1 is going to be different from a qualifying lap as opposed to your braking going into it on a normal lap, because some laps you'll have DRS, some laps you won't. When you don't have DRS, you can brake later. Either way, down into second gear, short shift up to a fourth on corner exit. This is one thing I'm going to disagree with Luca on, because I've heard differing opinions regarding turn 1, and the one that I kind of agree with the most is not to use the curb. I personally think you have a little bit less grip on the curb than you do on the tarmac, and this makes feeding the power in on corner exit a little bit more tricky. Otherwise, I would say this is bang on perfect. Luca's using up all of the track, but I personally think you don't want to be using this part of the track on a corner exit. Then again, I could be completely wrong, and there's a reason why I'm not racing in Premier X. Hold it tight to the wall on the run down towards Rouge. And you can see we're using up all of the track on the left as we look to make our way up into Radion. It's going to be completely flat. Keep the pedal firmly pinned down, using up the curb, and on the corner exit, using up all of the track. Open up the DRS, and this is something important to remember. We're holding it fairly tight to the right through this kink, and we're just going to straight line it all the way up to the other side of the track. We don't let it over straight away. We don't hold it tight. We're gradually letting it go across. And this can save you up to about half a tenth on your hot lap. And you can see Luca does this beautifully well. Braking down into Lecom, I don't really know where you want to brake, to be honest. I think maybe this here is a good identification. Either way, I'd say brake around here, so it's probably talking about 60, 65 meters. You can see we're in 8th gear, and we're going to be jumping onto the brakes very shortly. Down the brakes, actually, I think we braked at about 55, maybe 60 meters. Very late braking for this corner, and you can already see how we're positioned, how much curb we're looking to take into Les Combes, right up onto the curb. Somehow, this isn't an invalidation. 4th gear, you're looking to use this artificial grass right here. Actually, this is beautiful quality. Lucas sent us an absolute, really high quality lap, so thanks for that, Luca. So back on the power, 4th gear, up into 5th, and this is just to minimize wheel spin. Again, using up all of the curb through the left-hander of Les Combes. Back on the power, you don't have to let it all the way out. Why? Because you want to be pulling it back to the left through the right-hander of Malmedy. And it's pretty much flat through here. There's a few different lines. Maybe we could have used a little bit more curb, but to be honest, to absolutely get a lap perfect at Spa, it's nearly impossible. And so far, this has been a pretty darn good lapper from Luca. But back on the power, and again, look how much of track we're using. To be honest, I have a feeling I'm pretty sure this is an invalidation. I think maybe it was an invalidation. Going into a Les Combes, you want to be keeping this right wheel just on the line. But aside from that, spot on from Luca. Back on the power, and again, minimize your wheel spin. If you go too far over, you might find yourself losing the rear end, but make sure to keep that front right wheel within the white line. Back on the power, and this is crucial. This is beautiful from Luca. Use up all of this track down into the downhill right-hander of Bruxelles. I think there's another name for this as well. Rivage, I think it's also called. But yeah, you're in 6th gear. You want to brake. You're going to be getting a lockup on the front right tire as well. You could hear a bit of the lockup. And the trick to taking this corner, well, downshift into second at the apex, and then upshift to fourth so you can get back onto the power as early as possible. And we'll see if Luca does this now. I haven't actually seen this lap before. Yeah, so Luca's shifting up to fourth. In fact, is up to fifth as well. He shifts up to fifth at the late part of the corner. You get back on the power. All good. Do not go on that curb on exit. I have done that a couple of times. You will find yourself in this barrier on the right if you do that while getting on the power. Pull the car back over to the right. And I can't say much more than for the no-name corner of, I think it's turn 11. Brake early, because you want to be getting onto this artificial grass. You want to be using this curb on the rundown, and it's so easy going downhill to brake too late, find yourself understeering wide, and losing about 0.2 of a second. We're down into fifth. I think you ideally want to get your front left tyre onto this green patch, but the fact that you're on the curb means that you're pretty much there. Back on the power, using up all of the track on exit. You can see we're all the way up. Front left tyres on the white line. This is not an invalidation. Back on the power, no wheel spin at all. Nice and good. And now down into Puon. This requires so much bravery. It's literally just a quick flick on the brakes. If you remember back to the penultimate corner at Austria, exactly the same as that. You're just giving a quick downshift to slow the car and then turning and praying that it sticks. Do not use the curb on the apex. That will spin you round. And you can see we had the downshift. We're back on the power. We're not touching the curb. It's beautiful. Pull it back over to the left. Again, stay away from the curb, but get as close as you can to it so that you can open up the steering as much as possible. And Luca holds it tight. Smart stuff. Line of, or well, not the line of least resistance, but the shortest run down to the chicane of Campus, I believe this is called. Sorry, no, it's the Fania chicane. And then jumping onto the brakes. We're not actually on the brakes really yet, but you want to be doing it just after the 50-meter board. Luca using up some of the curb here. Personally, I think stay off the curb. I think it unsettles the car, but for a hot lap, I think this might be the correct decision. And as you drop it down the gears, you're in fifth gear. Again, use up all of this artificial grass. Hold it as tight as you can round the corner through the Fania chicane. And then, again, it's same here, using up all of this curb. I think that is the maximum that you can really cut this corner. Fifth gear again so that you don't lose the rear end. Back on the power, and again, modulate the throttle. You can't just stamp on the throttle. You really have to feed in the throttle, work with the throttle to make sure you don't understeer wide. Pull the car back over to the left as you make your way down into Stavolo corner. It's just a quick downshift into fourth. And actually, I think Luca goes into fourth and then back up to fifth to minimize wheel spin. We see... I personally think Luca maybe has been upshifting a little bit too much. We see that from some drivers. I know Yannick Tripkov does this a lot, but I think you get other drivers who are more confident to run in the lower gears, and I think you just need to have a mix of both really and what works best for you. But either way, fifth gear back on the power, and this is an invalidation. I'm pretty sure you do not want to be running over this white line on the left. It will invalidate your lap. So make sure to keep your right wheels over that line. It's weird because for those people who have been racing on F1 2019 a lot, you used to be able to abuse this curb. Now this year you can't, so you do have to be careful with that on corner exit. Either way, completely flat through this right-hander now, and Luca holds it tight again. Minimal distance traveled. It's going to be flat out through the left kink, and then flat again through Blanchimon. Make sure to open up the steering as much as you really can onto the curb. And all that's left is a final corner. Luca's pulled his car all the way over to the left just so he can get the best possible braking. I personally like to brake from the middle of the track, braking over to the left, just so that you can brake a little bit late and somewhat diagonally. But I know a lot of people aren't fans of that. And you want to be braking a little bit after the 100-meter board. Okay, so we braked at about 70 meters. Either way, drop it down into second gear and get it right up onto this curb. I'm not sure if that's an invalidation. It's going to be right on the cusp, but either way, you want to be getting as much onto this curb as you can. Now, here, I actually say, this is something that I've been seeing from drivers, you have to short shift on the exit of this corner. I would say short shift up to fourth if you aren't comfortable with that. Short shift up to third and be gentle on the throttle, but otherwise, up to fourth, slam on the power on corner exit, and you won't get wheel spin. I think that's the quickest way to be taking the bus stop chicane. And you can hear that we go up to third, ease on the throttle. If you're in fourth, you can get onto it harder as you cross the line to complete your lap here at Spa. In terms of strategy, softs onto mediums or mediums onto soft, that is all that you're going to see unless there is an early safety car that could result in people putting on the hard tires from like lap 4 or something. We saw punctures in Austria. It could happen here at Spa. The first lap at Spa can quite often be chaotic. Just remember, in real life, Spa 1998, although that was wet, so slightly different scenarios. But turn 1 and Eau Rouge, there's a lot of speed being carried by drivers on cold tyres. Opening lap, carnage can occur, and possibly will occur, but we will have to see. Either way, thank you, Luca, for sending in that lap, and I hope this has helped some of you guys for when you do your league races, whether that's in the FXR or any other league at Spa. Either way, make sure to tune in Thursday evening for Division 1 and Division 2, and Friday evening for the main event, Premier X, where the title will be decided. The race starts at around 8 p.m. BST, maybe about 7:50 BST, qualifying starting at 7. You don't want to miss it. We'll see you soon.